Alright, we're gonna try something here. Just like a little casted pub lobby, which sounds kind of unusual, but I'm realizing that there's actually a lot of players who are still pretty new, who might not really be understanding some of the stuff that's happening in higher level lobbies, or who might benefit from seeing a mix of more experienced play and less experienced play. So I don't think it's a terrible idea to actually look at how some of these things interact, how some of the decisions put people behind, and how to maybe recover from some of these things. So take a look here. I don't know who the fuck this guy is, but Corrino kind of got into the classic Fenring Irulan, right? And this is going to give you two things, right? Irulan is kind of their eco counselor and just helps with all their win cons. Being able to double build on a good a good special region is going to basically guarantee that Corrino will never be out of the hedge race. Right, one region can basically get them up to a total of about 50 passive hedge per day, which is more than enough for them to really compete with other factions. In addition, it lets you amplify all these quirks harder, right? So looking around his main base, what you always want to try to look for is one Plascrete. It's got Plascrete over here. Two, Intel, right? So this is a decent enough Intel analyst quirk here, right? You can probably get 6 Intel per day. And then more, right, from their heavy advanced engineering. So it ends up being like 6.6 or almost 7 Intel per day just from this one little region. And you want to start thinking about how you're going to make all of your resources. So you got Plascrete going on here. You'll probably get a Plascrete building this region too, it being your spice field if you go for Harvester Works before you see the rest of the map. But Corrino also really benefits from all their sources of passive eco. So integrated costs, everything neighboring, is 10 Slowery per day. So if you just have these three, right, this one here is actually quite a bit of a source. It's a great region, right? This is a strong network. He hasn't really found this yet. But this would be an amazing region because this strong network goes really, really hard with all the blue buildings you can get. You can get about 20 intel per day from one of these regions. Now, in a lobby as Corrino early, as you're expanding and looking for stuff, it's also important to think who's in your lobby. You have a Smuggler and you have a Fremen. He doesn't quite know where they are yet. But the first thing I'd want to know is how am I going to be able to get to mechanization and have an arty drone up? Arty drones are going to be able to protect and project the defense of the base around these regions. So this region, if he's not going to take it, he should pillage, but it looks like he's just farming it. I'd probably take this for Plascrete, to be honest, but he found the second spice field, so he has 2 spice fields here. So this would be a great region to put a, actually either of these, to put a spice silo and furnace in. And as he figures out the rest of this, I think that'll come to fruition. Now, he could probably just pillage this for now if he doesn't want to take it quite yet. This region here, another one where, again, he could theoretically project an arty drone to cover this. And, you're not going to win that fight against a Smuggler or Fremen outright. But what you're going to do is you're going to have the ability to take out a chunk of their health, retreat under the turret, take out again. And over the course of those 2 days that it takes for them to try to pillage you, you could do enough where you're, might not be worth it, or maybe they just won't be successful. So that's one thing. Second thing you can do with Fenring, right, is you always want to take one of your ornithopters and just search POIs, right? So you want to go a lot heavier into your POI management. So you get a whole lot more ornithopters, get like 5 or 6 to be honest, just to get everything out there. And always be clicking, ABCs of Fenring. Always be clicking. Pick these up. This is what gives you tempo, is Fenring. It gives you agents faster, sure, but being able to pick these up and get tech before anyone else even has agents up is super, super strong. 2, late game, you're just going to be picking up POIs, all the extra Plascrete you have. So it's really good in the early game for tempo to get all this stuff up. You'll kind of accidentally get mechanization half the time by picking up red tech. The other thing you can do, especially in this matchup, is you want to look for here, Fremen Warrior POI, this little guy. So picking this up is going to give you Fremen Warrior, which is a strong front line for your conscript ranged. So conscript range riflemen, right? Maybe you have 1 or 2 conscript swordsmen until you find these POIs. And then I would just save these guys and keep them by your base. If you get attacked, you have a little store of these guys, a little extra muscle. All right. But that's kind of your starting thought for Corrino. Plascrete, how you're going to build some eco. Again, it can be passive or it can be kind of a spice-based eco. And start thinking about intel. Typically, for your main base, you'll get a double blue. That'll help you produce some intel. But if you have amazing quirks, sometimes you can get away with not necessarily needing to do that. Okay, so take this for Plascrete. Okay. Let's take a look here at Atreides land. Atreides is a more experienced player, so we'll kind of see how he does. And for Atreides, if you have Thufir and Jessica, this is probably the most versatile. Thufir basically makes it so it's almost impossible to get assassinated. Jessica just makes you a pain in the butt for any house to deal with. And Atreides does pretty decently well against all these factions. Early on, right, you can go hard down this blue line with Thufir. This will help to offset some of the issues that you're going to have as Atreides not being able to pillage. Right, sustainable spying. Yeah, you'll get more, marginally more resources from putting a guy onto the Chone branch. So maybe you'll get 30 by putting 2 guys here instead of 20. But amplifying the quirks with sustainable spying is what gives you a whole lot more versatility. So again, this one maybe not super useful right now, but as we get more agents, you'll see these start amplifying your passive eco to the point where you can actually offset a lot of what you're missing from having spice. So you can get by with 1, even 2 spice fields into the mid to late game as Atreides, at which point you're able to actually take and hold these regions. He has an easy spice field. So the other thing to think about for Atreides is where are your bunkers going to be? Where are you going to expand to and who are your neighbors? So, in short, who's your daddy and what's he do? In this case, he actually has some really amazing regions by his base. He's going to have plenty of intel production if you take a look. Oh my god, all these analyst quirks. He's got nice, safe spice fields in the back. He's got a bunker here facing Observatory Mountain. And he'll be able to probably win this over here into this corner. Now, he does see a siege here, so he sees the border from Smuggler. So he knows he's going to be fighting probably Smuggler, not Fremen, over this. But some intrepid Fremen will go cross map to go fuck him up. Early on, Atreides struggles with Plascrete. So getting a lot of Plascrete up is going to be important, and water. And so in contrast to some factions, Inside the Valley is not a bad idea. If you see yourself with a lot of these 2 wind regions, well, just these 2, 3, I guess, 4 if you count Basin. Usually it's a sign that you'll probably want to end up getting this. Now, if you're Atreides and you see a Smuggler already coming up to your border here, what can you do? 1, you can offer them a treaty. They might take it. But Atreides actually trades decently well into Smuggler, because Atreides will usually be able to expand better, that is, get more regions. You'll want to get your manpower up. And then if you take a look at their armory, this long rifle, in combination with automatic weapons, will absolutely shred the snipers that they have. Per CP, you're going to have more health, so be a little more durable, but they're going to have that first attack, that first shot bonus from elimination shots and barrel cleansing. So it's going to be a little it's going to be painful, but Atreides usually ends up winning that engagement, especially if they're near home, right? Now, if Smuggler wanted to take this region, or take this region, start stealing spice, and then assault, they certainly could. But again, I think this is an opportunity for Atreides. They probably feel pretty confident here. In terms of your tech tree, yeah, so you can kind of, I like getting these 2 just for tempo early. You can come down Spying Mastery next. He's just going into a hedge play, lay of the land, cultural assimilation. If you're playing with Atreides and you have Jessica, you can also just, if you want a little cheat code, just go for everything that gives you agreement abilities. So trade agreement, lay of the land for research agreement, diplo maneuvers for political agreement. Everyone's going to want at least one of those. And if you're first building up, usually admin hall is a good choice. You can also do an embassy or a research center. That's just going to give you additional resources from all those treaties. And you can kind of say, hey, who wants what? Almost everyone will take an eco or research agreement with you because it's just free resources. And if someone's taking it, everyone's going to be incentivized to do so. So if you take a look up here, research agreement with everyone, trade agreement with, where are we? Fremen with a trade agreement with Corrino. We'll get to why that's maybe not the best idea in a minute, but with Atreides, going for each of these is probably going to give you a whole lot of balanced resource production. If you take a look at his resources right now, he's at 12 knowledge compared with Corrino's at the negative again. He needs to pillage a bit more, but has decent knowledge production and can use these treaties to really amplify what they get. Okay. But yeah, so looking for bunkers, looking for your eco, and getting what you need up early, and being mindful of who your neighbors are. Okay. For Smuggler, this is pretty typical. He's got Lashan Hara and Stakhanov. Lashan Hara is pretty hard to use, I'll be honest, but offering treaties to people is what's going to give you these information levels. Okay. So each individual trade you give to someone will give you an information level. So if you give a non-aggression pact, and then you give a treaty, and then you maybe send them some Solari or something, each time they accept that, you're gonna get one of those levels. That level is gonna turn into Solari and influence production. And so if you can, you can offer these treaties early with your influence. You're again kind of incentivized to come down your blue line here, and knowing that Atreides is here, usually with Thuf here, you can usually get a research agreement with them and tack along down their spying mastery tree. Another thing to think about with Smuggler and Fremen is Smuggler and Fremen, in contrast to the other two, use these three techs pretty extensively. Right? They usually have to come down here. I rarely see Atreides or Corrino ever come down into industrial scavenging, this tier 3 mid-red tech. But Fremen will always do this to get down to the worm riding. So long as you can avoid giving them a research agreement to get here faster, it's probably in your best interest. Then coming down your blue line's fine. But this is pretty typical, going for red tech and just pillaging as much as you can. That's going to be your initial economy. Later in the game, you got to transition from a pillage economy into a spice and other resource economy. So if you want to have two guys running around, just pillage, 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 do that for sure, but you have to build all these things up. He's doing a good job here, Plas Street, right? Basically every Stakhanov region should be having one of each of these early on. And then later, you're going to start putting down your UHQs to amplify all your resource production. Okay, but for now, this is actually fine. And he's gone Admin Hall and Recruitment Center. I think early on, you want to use these one districts, right? Smuggler is great because they have these 4 single districts. Put your Admin Hall into one of these. And then when you start researching your yellow tech, you'll have increased production, right? You don't necessarily need, as Smuggler, you don't need, your tier 2 bonus. 30 star is fucking nothing for Smugs. Even the tier 3 arguably is not going to be as useful to Smugs. But I think that if you're playing Smuggler, put your yellow techs in these single slots, and then you can go down your blue tech early and your green tech early and your red tech early, and then with your yellow tech in these single slots, you can kind of speed through that tree once you make your transition. Oh my god, did he get a... Where is that? Easy money. That's going to make him a ton of money. The second thing with Smugs is, I think most factions are like this too. You kind of want to race to your landmarks. So, for Smuggler, at 10k they get 50% more resources from pillaging. So if you're playing Stakhanov, right, go for your special regions, Stakhanov them up. You're going to get your bonus 20% production. If you want to be crazy and go down wonders, you'll also get another 30% there. So 50% more production in these villages that are isolated. But once you're at 10k, each of these pillages is going to get 50% more. So right now with this resolution, this is a race. He has to pillage as much as he possibly can. He'll make absolute bank. You can easily walk away at this point in the game with 20k just from pillaging all this stupid shit. But the faster you get to 10k, the faster you can really exploit the pillage eco that Smugs has and the tempo that it gives you. So that's why I'd say definitely go for those early. Got one here. He's actually got a great setup. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4 in the back here that are Probably these three are going to be hard to contest. And then he's got the Sink's going to be a little bit of a mess, but Worm's Nest is also going to be a little bit dangerous to try to hold. Right, there's a bunker here. If someone takes this, they'll put a turret here and be able to force Smugs off later. Fremen, so Fremen actually has a research treaty with Corrino, or a trade agreement rather. Now, it's not bad to sometimes use these treaties. It kind of depends on what sieges you have, where you are in the game. Looking around at his sieges, so he's gone with Stilgar. He used to see all the sieges early. Stilgar's never going to be a bad choice for Fremen. The perks of Stilgar, right? You don't need to search for your sieges, you just have them. So up front at the beginning of the game, as soon as you capture your first village, you just start trading with them, right? The reason I say that is if you do a little bit earlier, it doesn't help you a whole lot. But you want to always, ideally, try to find this Fremen Scientist siege. This is going to be the best value early game. Start trading with this immediately if you see it. Because the sooner you get this, at 4 knowledge is a huge amount of value you get as Fremen. In an early game, you really need your tech to get scarier. So if you see this, always ally this up first, no matter what. Any knowledge sieges as well that trade you knowledge for water, that's another one to go for. And then after that, I'd probably prioritize the ones that are closest to you, because those are going to be the ones that help you to project power for your borders and reinforce those early. With Stilgar as well, it doesn't hurt to get Fremen Solidarity early. With the other counselors, if you don't go with Stilgar, ignore this this tech, because you need to see where sieges are sending raiders to know where they are to search for them. If you don't go for Stilgar, I'd then recommend going for Romalo as a backup. That passive intel production is super important for Fremen. The authority is nice, but honestly the intel production is what's going to make it easier to be aggressive early, and also to have intel to search for the sieges. So I'd usually go Fremen Solidarity, Local Dialect, Sand Brotherhood. And then as you're going down Sand Brotherhood, right, you're going to do that to get a Bazaar in your single slot in the main base. That single slot in the main base for Fremen is going to give you a decrease in the cost of each of these colored techs, but not your green tech. And so for Fremen, while that's going, in those 8 days that it takes to build it and you're waiting, that's when I would get your green tech going, right? Get Outpost Logistics, great. I'd probably go Desert Watchers and then Trinkets. And then once that's done, right, then you're going to have decreased cost of all these red techs. So if we take a look here at faction status just to make sure, so eco is cheaper for everyone. So let's compare for Fremen right now, Border Defense, 13 days, to Spying Mastery, 10 days. That's the difference to the Bazaar right there. So you might as well, right, 10 days to 8 days, you might as well go down these while your Bazaar is finishing up, and then you can come down here to your red tech. Okay. In terms of expansion, basically anything that's not a fuel cell, even some fuel cells, if it's a shit fuel cell region and it's right next to you, has no other good quirks or redeeming qualities, you can pillage it. No one's gonna, be mad. That just means that month 4 is when you're gonna have to retake it, because that pillage decrement's gonna fall off. But pillage everything around you, including your spice field. So this here, he should pillage this unless he really wants to exploit these quirks. You should pillage these, right? Regions that contain sieges don't pillage. That's an easier and authority-effective way of capturing a region and projecting power. And then those areas around sieges, I would also, if you can, avoid pillaging those. Everything else is fair game. And ideally, if you have a little ball of Fremen, come here and pillage the middle, pillage this region, pillage that region, pillage in other people's territories so they can't use it. You should have better water economy. You should be able to kind of expand and do this. And you have sieges, so once they're allied, let's say you're over here pillaging something, you can just hop into the siege to replenish your supply and reinforce. Now, he's gone with these two, with Stilgar and Romalo. I normally say that, if you have Jamis, you come here and you dispossess Worm's Nest. Right, you ally this up, you come wipe this. It looks like he's going to go for it anyway. But he needs to ally this up so he can replenish and reinforce. Oh no, he's going for pillage the middle? Yeah, I'm not sure what he's doing here. But this is where a hiding tracks would actually be really useful to put down, so that this is not seen by Corrino. Let's see what Corrino sees. Corrino's zoomed in way over here, probably seeing that Atreides is doing something nefarious. Oh. Oh, he's capturing it. It's not even free. So this is a little unusual, I think, from Fremen. The sync doesn't usually give him a whole lot. But what I will say is, with Jamis, this can be a move to actually kill this base. Right? You lure him in with a false sense of security with that eco-truce that they have up. You take this, and then you kill his army. I mean, it should be a lot bigger from Corrino here, right? Imagine that he has some of those POIs. It's not really built out here. So this is, again, some of the discrepancy of maybe player experience. But then he gets dispossessed of this. Now he's lost his fuel cells. So this is not an easy region to hold as Corrino. There's a long tail going to the main base. There's a neighboring region people want. He either should have kind of prioritized capturing this to bunker it up early. But I just don't think he has the eco up yet. He's still struggling up here. It's coming down as red tech. Okay. But for Fremen, you know, getting all your tech up and everything early is important. Having Stilgar gives you passive economy from all these trades, and all this is just water. That's all it costs. So if you take a nice 5-wind region like this, or a 4-wind region over here with hard workers, you know, that's going to give you probably 10 water once you build your wind trap. That 10 water is going to be enough for a trade over here, and a trade over here, and a trade over here. And all that's just, you know, 10 slurry there, some plastrete, 10 slurry there. It adds up over the course of the game, and in the early game gives you a ton of tempo. So again, if he has Fremen scientists, he should definitely sacrifice 1 authority for that extra 4 knowledge. 4 knowledge for Fremen is going to be, you know, something close to like 60 slurry per day of value, just from allying that 1 siege. Okay, and we have an aggressive drop on Worm's Nest. This is a little suicidal. And Fremen... Is Fremen going to help defend Corrino's drop here? Or... I think what he does is he actually attacks here, dispossesses, captures himself actually. Yeah, so he smells the weakness. So this is a very, very risky drop to come in here with almost no army and drop pretty far from the main to try to take Worm's Nest. This was never going to work. So this is a bit of just bad planning from Corrino here. Oh, they're fighting each other as well. So they need to get a truce up. Again, Fremen here, I would actually back up to here, dispossess this region. Maybe, you know, ally up this this siege, and use this to reinforce. But you know, they wipe this. I'd hit the Corrino economy first, then I'd go for the rest of it. But once this base is done, by all means, kill Smuggler, take this region off him. Then I think Fremen's actually in a very good spot here. Looking over into Atreides land, the best thing he can do is just to keep macroing, right? He has all of his yellow tech that he needs. He's going to have all of his blue tech that he needs, well, almost all of it pretty soon. Then he can come down for his red tech and the border defense and trinkets. And remember, he has a nice bunker up here that's safe. He has another siege here. Actually, might go for Chome. Annexing the basin. Yeah, this is going to be a pretty decent spot. He has, you know, some safe specials. 2 safe specials here, and this bunker here is going to be hard to dislodge. So he has 3 specials. Atreides will be fine here. I think Atreides is easily more experienced player, but it's definitely, you know, I bet on him winning this one. But as you can see, Atreides is not getting involved in the rest of this stuff. Corrino just kind of sacrificed a base here, maybe not realizing how risky this is. With that said, this is actually Fremen's problem here, this Imperial base. Fremen needs this dead so that he can take Worm's Nest and secure the rest of this area and up here. to retreat these back and heal up. Fremen actually might lose some of this stuff. The missile battery might have just saved Fremen.
Reporting for duty.
There's the Fedaykin. Let's take a look at Smug. So Smug's just going to pillage a bit. I'm sure he's buying some chome. Main base still coming up. He's on these 3 buildings right now. Again, I'd really prioritize getting these single slots filled early, unless you're going for a timing push with triple red. For Smugs, that's going to be your biggest thing. So his red's basically done. It looks like he's targeting yellow next. If he gets, let's say, a chome branch up, one of these single slots, maybe he had admin hall and a chome branch there. Then he's going to speed through this tree at 30% more speed. And the only one that really you can't affect that way is a meteor green tree. So getting as much this as you need early is going to help, or offering a research agreement with, let's say, Fremen, who tends to go down trinkets a little earlier than most people. Both those are good ideas. Let's take a look at Corrino land. Now, Corrino's made a very adventurous drop here. This is not necessary, ever. Unless you really have absolutely nowhere else to drop. But this is far from the original base. It's not really amplifying. I would guess it would amplify the center quirk. This is a great quirk for Corrino to have 2 amplifications of. But he's too spread out for that, and he's too vulnerable. I think that if he wants to play a lot more conservatively, he could have actually just dropped here, still amplified the quirks on this region, projected onto the basin, which may be harder to hold against Atreides if Atreides is already here, but at least here he has some overlapping fire from the bases, and he could just put a couple of arty drones here to, reinforce it. Down here is too far, and it's going to be too aggro into two players who are probably going to have an early game superiority over Corrino. So this drop, this base should die, 100%. Let's look at the rest of his stuff. So he's still hasn't built up the rest of his buildings. He's got 100 plasticrete. This is actually fine for a lot of factions, 100 plasticrete per day, especially Fremen. That would be great. For Corrino, you probably want closer to 120, 150. And you can afford it, right? He's got a plasticrete region here. He could put down 2 of these plasticrete factories. That's probably what I would aim for, rather than going for 4 blue in this region. He's gone for single blue at the bottom. This is fine, I think that for Corrino, if you're going to try to think about how to game your Emperor Monument, where it goes, and your main base districts, this is probably the more compelling of the choices. Is like, you want double blue if you have poor intel production regions near you. So if you only have 1 analyst, if you don't have a strong network, if you've already looked in your backfield, right, and you don't see a whole lot, he's got actually 1, 2, 3, 4 regions, that are analyst quirks. So maybe he doesn't need necessarily to have a monument in the double blue. Maybe he can afford to have like a research center and embassy in the second base. But for the first base, the other thing I think about is where do you want to accelerate your research again? So for Corrino, basically completed most of these. So monument in the single blue helps him to get down to Emperor Eyes easy. Assuming he actually has knowledge, but 15. But yeah, he needs to basically build out the rest of these ASAP. These all should be built out pretty much by now. Yeah, he doesn't really have a whole lot of manpower production. Now, the second thing to think about is, let's say that Corrino sees this and does not act so aggressively to take this without taking the center. He's probably better off taking this fuel cell up here. The only reason I say that is this is a whole lot easier for him to defend than this region out here, unless he can bunker this up. So I actually would have taken this one for your fuel cell, because that's what gets you your mechanization. That's what helps you to force off attacks, right? From here, he's going to have this is a long region to go into. And his best bet here is probably going to have Atreides team up with him to dispossess, or he could probably do it himself, honestly. So let's see. It looks like is he going to go for Worm's Nest? That is a dangerous proposition. But he can certainly do it. Now, the other thing you can do with Fenring that I'd also recommend is aim for these intel quirks whenever these intel POIs as much as you can. Build up your stores. If you take a look here, your orbital strike's only 2 on spacing yield. It looks like he's going to get that too. And just have that ready, right? That way he could attack this, put an injection zone down or something, or a thumper here. But basically keep smugglers out of this region. And then whatever region he does come into, you know, that's your cue to put down that orbital strike. But Fenring lets you get these up month 2. You can get an orbital ready, and it'll just scare off whoever wants to aggro you in that way. Here, I wonder if he has a... No, he doesn't have one. Okay. So again, this is not a bad idea from him. But I think he needs to be ready for a fight here with Smugs. Smugs only has 45 CP, which is actually not nearly enough. I'm kind of surprised it's so little. And again, this is where they Smuggler and Fremen really should have killed this.
Ready. We're ready.
And Smuggler's kind of wasted his
Here I am, Chief.
his advantage here by letting Corrino get back
Yes,
some of his army. He's now fighting underneath the main base. But Corrino's not a 10k.
We're ready to hunt the invaders.
Yeah, support engagement. Looks like Fremen's going to pitch in. Yeah, so this base should be dead.
Tell me, Chief.
There goes his triple red. This would be pretty catastrophic, losing that. Fremen's taking this opportunity to pillage. I actually like this a lot. Rather than liberating, just pillaging for some eco. Letting Fremen build up. He's actually got decent numbers. And this is the right idea from Fremen too. Usually you want to go down military propaganda to get your authority bonus, then Ida Alakrab. Sky gazing is super important too. People really underestimate how strong these mobile turrets are. This is just your ranged DPS as Fremen, and it's going to be your bridge into, you know, shoot and scooting. The other thing I can see here is Fremen's actually offered a research treaty to someone. He needs to think about whether he's helping them more than he's getting a bonus. Because right now, I'm willing to bet this is Atreides he's getting it from, right? So this is actually an instance where I would not offer a treaty to Atreides. Atreides doesn't have any of this tech. And Fremen really needs to come down this area. So he actually doesn't really need this yellow tech much at all. And maybe it's going to help him with contesting Atreides' Chome, but Fremen just can't do it. So I think that if you're going to have a treaty with Atreides especially, or a late game faction, and you're going to have earlier red tech, get what you need early, which in Fremen's case is probably going to be these 3 tech over here. And then I would break that research treaty. Even though it's free, it's 2 knowledge, but you're going to decrease by you know, 20% the cost of military propaganda and parallel training and all this stuff that Atreides actually wants. So this is probably helping Atreides more than Fremen right now. It looks like Smugglers has mismanaged his army completely here. I might lose it. Running into the desert. There he goes. Okay. So I like that pillage there. If I'm Fremen, though, I probably want to see one getting some donkeys up, because donkeys, along with hiding tracks, you can project enough range to actually pillage this spice field, dispossess this, and definitely dispossess this spice field, right? And again, here, if Corrino has an arty drone around this main base, he's able to poke at people attacking him to force them off, or at least put a little more attrition than just the main base. The main base on its own, right, you just spread out your guys, you put a warrior, usually the southern end here, and you pinch it up, and the base will aggro whatever unit's here. So you use a warrior for that because the DPS against base isn't great. And you have the other guys up here. Now here you should pull this away or it's going to die. Then you can have something else attack.
On duty. Elite of the Imperium at your service.
So Corrino's more or less out of this game. I think he is, you know, villages aren't really built up. He actually has a Mason skill down. Yeah, he really needs to finish these. Then he needs to think about how he can kill someone to get a second main base up. But probably what he'll have to do is I don't even know how to manage this as Corrino. Maybe you just do no yellow tech feels bad, but triple red, research center monument, and admin hall, something like that. But yeah, so Atreides basically maximizing the researcher game and what they're getting out of this, because other people are not, you know, going down these techs that he's offering. I guess he's Corrino's coming down here, but he's gaining the most value out of these research agreements right now. It's also surprising, yeah, Fremen's not really keeping up with his main base building. The other thing with Fremen you want to go for, like I alluded to with Smugs, is you want to get to 10k quickly. For Fremen, it's because your main base buildings and your sieges are also really important. So if we take a look here, he has a red slot here he can make. Usually for Fremen, this will be for manpower. We want Chani, which against Smugs is fine. Corrino works. Against Atreides is kind of maybe not ideal, but it's fine. Up here at blue, this Friend Brotherhood is also really nice. These are 2 H's that can't be captured, so you take these 2 guys if you don't have Romalo, you just put them on people. It'll just generate intel and you'll get your info levels on people. You can actually assassinate really well with Fremen if you have Romalo and this Fremen Brotherhood. Because these 2 agents are going to be 2 uncapturable agents. If you get a 3rd from a mission, or let's say you have a Bene Gesserit early, right? You can basically speed rush an assassination on someone before they have any idea what's happening. Yeah, a lot of these should probably have been pillaged. If you have Romalo, you do want to take these spice fields. Getting spice tech's not the worst idea in the world. But really, this is going to be what makes your army competitive into the mid game, and your caves, Seminole caves, and having military factory are going to be what makes your army competitive into the late game. So he should be prioritizing probably taking this down here in the corner and bunkering up something over here. Taking this here in this corner, fortifying this. This here he wins. Right? He doesn't have to worry about this too much. But this is also a benefit of Oathame, right? If this squad comes up as Oathame against almost any number of same units, Othame's squad wins. Because each of these guys would have a really nice bonus.
We are listening, Majesty. Liet. Ready to strike.
One thing I don't think he realizes is that he's underneath the siege here, and so the space here can actually see in an AoE around it. It has stealth detection right at long range, so he can actually see everyone spawning here in the siege and healing. So maybe not the best idea from Fremen, but
We sought the car.
right. So Atreides is built up. He's gone with Duncan. Always a good choice. Easiest to use, I think, is Duncan. He's got plenty of agents. Now, if you go with Thufir, one of the big perks is you get this second quirk on each of your agents. So this one here, oh, here's a new one. 20% agent recruitment, 2% influence per level. Now, what you want to do is you want to look at every information field and see how you can maximize these quirks. With sustainable spying, if you only have one application of their trait, you get double the effect. And so here, this Bene Gesserit being the only Bene Gesserit on Landsrad, it says here counts as 2 agents for information level. With sustainable spying, this effectively counts as 4 agents. And so if you put this onto, let's say, CHOAM or Spacing Guild, you will get these levels a whole lot faster. If you look here, over in this area, it'll actually say how many days before you reach another level. If you put a Bene Gesserit in the Spacing Guild level, it'll catapult up there. So what you can do is you can put your Bene Gesserit there to build up the level fast, and then replace it with the other agents to hold it. Second, you want to maximize the diversity in each field. So here, right, this intendant trait, 20% of every field. Because it's the only intendant on this trait, it applies twice, so 40%. There's the +4. Then sustainable spying gives you another 50% resource production on each of these fields, not Arrakis, but the other ones. You also see he has a Sook Doctor. So this Sook Doctor with sustainable spying on a 3 level is going to be not just 5%, but 10% per level. For 3 levels is 30% more knowledge. If we take a look at Atreides' knowledge production, you get 6 knowledge from that Sook Doctor, which normally would be 3 if sustainable spying didn't exist. So this is kind of one of the real strengths.
Awaiting orders.
This is a well-crafted base here too. He's going to be competitive on. He might actually be competitive on CHOAM. He doesn't really have a CHOAM branch up, does he? He's got plenty of eco for it. 275 spice is a wild amount.
Yes, sir.
You know, the CHOAM market, evenly contested, oddly. Yeah. Take a look back at Smugs. That base is still up. So killing this base is also important because it just gets rid of their ability to do more than one thing, right? So I what with mercs? This is wild. Must not have any manpower production. Yeah. You know, for a lot of factions, you can get by with 30 or 40 manpower production. With a faction that trades a lot, like Fremen, or where you're going to be building lots of 50 manpower units, I would say something closer to 45 or 50 manpower is probably more reasonable if you're going to be trading and trying to win a war of attrition, right? Smug's is going to wipe this. And again, here's an opportunity for Smug to put down, instead of putting down defense sabotage, putting down a hidden explosives to prevent this from shooting, and then this base is just dead.
You've called.
Looks like he's actually focusing the base instead of the units, which is fine.
Nothing to report, Chief.
I'd probably just focus on these conscripts, though.
Yes, Majesty. I'm all ears.
That base is down. Hallelujah. We have Eye of the Council up. Probably going to go to Atreides, seeing as to they're kind of dominating right now. But Smug's doing a good job getting their main base up. He's coming down here for some blue stuff. I would have thought Unrolled Bribes at some point he wants to contest CHOAM, but he's just going to play a hedge game, which, again, totally fine. Most games run on a hedge, so coming down here, grabbing these techs is never the wrong decision, especially here. Once he gets this, he's basically got most of the stuff that he needs. The only thing he's really missing out on is Lashan Har and Sustainable Spying, which is more of a tempo play Late game, all of these agents you have to put on other people to get a bonus from Lashon Hara, those get captured by counter intel agents. Early on, people don't have counter intel, so you can put someone on these fields, and it's really nice. Fremen going siege incentives. Maybe wants to kill Corrino, which again I don't think is a bad idea, but if he's gonna kill Corrino now, it's not gonna be necessarily a surprise. It's gonna be dispossessing him of these territories and then killing him, which he can easily do on a one base Corrino without any red tech, red base building. So
We're listening.
let's see how this
What is it I
goes.
may do?
Little ambush.
At
Nope.
your service, as long as you pay.
Disappointing.
We are listening.
Well, looking here at Fremen must be floating a ton of authority. Yeah. Still building main base buildings. Has not really built out any of these ancillary main base buildings in his sieges, right? Which, again, you want to rush to 5k or 10k as Fremen so you can build these up and get all of your main base buildings up. Some stuff's going to be dangerous, so like, if you're going to try to build, let's say in this Well Riches, right? A building over here by Well Riches is cross map, so actually getting over there to defend it is a huge pain in the butt, especially if terrain doesn't let you worm through it. But let's say you build something you need here, like your command post. If Smugglers decides to pillage this, you're gonna have a hard time coming over to clear this without having your army way out of position to defend your other stuff. So this is one where you might ally it up so that you can project force or reinforce a pillage or a liberation, or for like an extra military building that you don't necessarily, quote unquote need. Which in that case, that's probably sees the barracks for Fremen. But I wouldn't put like a command post here, because if you lose that command post, you're kind of screwed. These yellow ones, right? If you see someone like Atreides cross map and they have it allied, by all means, put a Chone branch in this. You can put your Algaib temple in this one. Usually, if they have it allied or traded with an allied, they're not going to pillage it at any point in the game, except maybe the very, very, very late game. But that's an invitation for you to actually use these sieges to build stuff up. So he has a yellow slot and a blue slot that are worth using, and this upkeep reduction is super, super strong. It's basically a map-wide maintenance center for all your buildings. So that's another good source of income. Atreides here you can see is making 1.1 a day with an exchange rate of 1.9. If he builds a Chone branch up, I feel like this is going to go pretty hard. Yeah, so I'd probably... I don't know what I'd get rid of. Yeah. I think... Yeah, all these are kind of nice. I don't know if I'd want to get rid of any. Maybe in the short term, admin hall, as bad as it sounds, I'd get rid of that, and I'd put a Chone branch in just for a bit of extra lovin'. But yeah, there's enough Chome out in the market that I don't think he should be able to win this on Chome, even with this massive spice advantage he has.
Arrakis is our home.
Corrino's finally taking his fuel cell. Does not have mechanization for his hardy drone yet. Not built out. So, not really taking advantage of his Mason skill in the main base. Looks like he's going to switch this out to, this is a good idea, switch this out to his red tech. It's at least better than nothing. And he also never took Sandfall again. So I think with Corrino, you could think, like, I'm going to try to maximize the number of specials I get to contest by dropping here. That's one thought. The second thought is, this is fucking dangerous. You're going to piss off two people. It's far from you. I don't even think a really experienced Corrino player can actually defend this. This is a pretty, I think, dangerous base drop. I think that if you want to play it safe, you could drop here, or you just drop in the back and go with your quirks. You have a nice Sandfall here. You can project to the middle later once you're built up and more secure and have 65 CP and your already drones and your operations ready, right? Because early on, again, your Emperor Monument's just going to make you hedge every day, and you don't have to worry about it too much. So Corrino's gonna, start playing some hedge game. Smuggler is coming down for his hedge stuff here with valuable trinkets. Fremen's getting their trinkets also. It sounds like from Atreides, whose trinkets, wonders. Then I assume Proud Liberator and then Border Defense, and basically that's the game. It'll be trying to attack into an Atreides vetted army with bunkers galore here, right? Looking at the other sort of... oh, wow. Smuggler put Eye of the Council bounty on Corrino, which is pretty cool. Not what I was expecting. Wow. Now, this is one downside to allying the sieges here, is not being able to attack and pillage this for experience. Right. What Atreides could do instead is he has a nice high ground here, some nice terrain, and a choke point. He puts his warden and a trooper, or Duncan or Gurney here, puts everyone behind, and he just keeps attacking this. They'll have to break juice with Fremen to do it, but... Actually, no, Fremen's not even allied to this siege, is he? Yeah. So this was another, again, Fremen kind of mistake not to ally this up really early. But he could just sit here on the high ground, drop a scav team, keep farming experience. And it'll be a whole lot faster than killing 2 units at a time. Which just doesn't feel the same. Gear upgrades. So I think if you have a smuggler nearby, long rifle is what makes attrition really painful. If you have Gurney, I'd for sure say get war memoirs. Otherwise, I'd probably say crossfire attack. This is an allied bonus that'll apply to Gurney, so it'll give him a stack of heroism. Which, if you look at Gurney or Duncan rather, he gets armor and power for each stack here, each allied bonus. So 2 power, 1 armor, and you can get up, I think, to 5 stacks, 1 from each of the units' armory upgrades, right? This first one here, Kraken Proto, or no, sorry, it's the second one here gives power to nearby units. You get cover tactics, and then the Warden's passive bonus. You get this distracting flashes. Basically, the first of each of these is going to give an allied bonus of each gear. And so you get 5 or 6 stacks of heroism on Duncan, which is again like 10 to 12 power and 5 or 6 armor. And then you activate his ability, and he'll be running around with like 20 armor or something, and he's a huge pain in the butt. Fremen can't deal with it effectively. Corrino conscripts can't deal with it effectively. Smugglers can snipe him for sure, but he slows down everyone, and it's just a huge pain in the butt to deal with. But really, ECAS can kill him pretty effectively. Heart can kill him pretty effectively. But that's how I'd think about maximizing Duncan's effect. Granted, it's only 1 armor and 2 power you're giving up by forgoing that, but I think probably worth it. But yeah, for if you have a smuggler neighbor as Atreides, I'd always go for this to trade out the. You can trade into railgun drones from Vernius as well, but into snipers really useful. For Corrino, this is fine. These conscript swordsmen, you really just use it for this the bonus that they give. Otherwise, conscript rifleman's going to be your main squeeze, and Sards, of course, are excellent. Execution threshold is going to be done by having cheap conscripts everywhere, so I'd actually change out this one for attack speed, where they're DPSing it up to about 200, which is really, really good. And having a lot of conscripts, too, with Corrino, you got to be very careful with nearby Fremen, because a stack of Feds or skirmishers are going to wipe all those conscripts if you're not careful with where you're putting them. Having in the pocket, especially if you have Fenring, right, it's hard, because, every, 15 seconds or something, you have to look for POI to pick up to really get value out of it. But that means your intel production he should be like 1,000 intel at all times, and should at almost all times have his operations up. So he really should have. Where are we here? His orbital, probably an admin burden would be nice. Supply drop, almost at all times. But yeah, so for Corrino, Sandfall's. This is a really nice siege to rack his heart. If he's only gonna be on one special, it's probably not worth it. I would probably farm this for money and experience, or pillage it if you're a little worried. But yeah, I would kind of, because again, this is actually kind of a hard siege to get to. There's a lot of terrain that prevents Fremen from worming in here easily. So this siege is, I think, actually pretty safe for him to farm if he wants to. You get a military base, you get a missile battery, and then you just kill. Just kill. Interesting. He's putting down a propaganda office. Yeah, he might have kind of resigned to losing. Poor Corrino. Well, looking at the hedge board now. Atreides with a cool almost 50 knowledge. 9 from the Sook Doctor. He's got 40 passive. He's at almost 18k. Let's see here. So probably month 5, beginning of month 5 is when Smugs is usually at something like 8 territories, 8 to 10 territories. It's where taking an extra territory is costly enough that you can actually just put down UHQs and build up to about 10 to 12 UHQs. And that's going to give you, about 12 to 14 passive hedge per day. And that's probably a better use than taking a region that's not a special. So at this point, I think all of his authority should really be pumped into making this full transition into the UHQ economy. So every spice field, right, should probably have a UHQ. He's missing one here. Missing one here. He hasn't even scouted much of Corrino's lands, but he's missing 2 here. So all these, right, and then the main base buildings too. So these major extensions, right? Usually Fremen will have a triple red, so for sure get your plus 50% power from that. Atreides, take a look at how many spice fields they have. They have 4, so that's going to be 60 spice per day by getting theirs. And yeah, none of these are actually good choice for this district bonus, which is 30 slurry per main base district level. So this is fine too. But that's really what he needs to focus on, is really making a good transition into the UHQs and these extensions to maximize his economy. That's what makes all of the Smuggler economy really, really resilient. He could lose half these territories and still be able to keep up resource production. I think it's going to be the black market branch. So this is where it's a little bit tricky. I mean, the recruitment center's nice. If he gets some UHQs, right, with the black market branch, he can basically replace the recruitment center. He can move the military academy, could have been here instead, and then he'd have an area here for black market branch instead. Black market branch for Smugs, once you've made that transition, where is it? Right, 1% manpower, plant screen, spice, and intel per UHQ. So if you've got 20 UHQs, which at this point of the game is not unreasonable at all, that's 20% more manpower. In addition to spice, last screen intel. And, compared to this main space, the recruitment center is 30%. So that's a point where, like, realistically, taking any of these regions is going to be worse for him, because it gets rid of the Stakhanov bonus, and he doesn't need it. He needs UHQs everywhere, right? See if Fremen has any tasty regions. So Fremen's doing a little, like, a half-assed attack up here. I think this is supposed to be a decoy. But again, this is an Othame tactic, right? For Othame, you can send out stuff like this. You send out a small group, usually one of each unit. They can dispossess a village pretty easily with Othame. You run away, people get near, and then you attack with another group of units. In this case, he only needs half his units to wipe this, and half his units to wipe the other one. So Corrino should be able to deal with this pretty effectively. But I like the idea. The idea's not bad. Finally get some mobile turrets up. I love it. The Lance Rad. Oh, interesting. So if you do go with Romalo, or honestly if you're just playing Fremen in general, more important than chump support, crew training, all of this, is one, finishing your worm riding tech. Right, this lets you amplify the damage, especially with Shawnee into late game. So we crunch the little numbers here. Shawnee doubles your power on the first attack when you're undetected and stealthed. So if we look, he doesn't have anything stealth right now. Okay. Oh, there. Okay, so right now Shawnee's stealth, right?
What is it I may do?
So using this, you double your power. Let's look at just like a skirmisher, 5 power about. So you double the power, it goes to 10, from 5 to 10, and then they get all these damage multipliers, 20% per unit hit. So it goes from 10 to 12 to 14, 16, 18, etc. The worm riding tech gives you a flat 10% damage, or 10 damage rather, on the first attack. And so when you come out of the worm, you're now doing an extra 10 damage, plus the doubled power, which is another 10, and then you apply your damage multiplier. So 20 goes to 24, 28, 32, etc. So that first attack from a skirmisher can do, against unarmored units like this, 40, almost 50 damage, right, into a blob of conscripts that are unarmored. 50 damage into this is basically a seventh of their health, right? Now, they have damage reduction, so it'll be less than that, but it means that 4 skirmishers can basically wipe out almost half the health of these units. And then your feds will do the rest. The feds scale even better. Which, yeah, he lost all his army over there for some reason, but getting that's going to help you to deal with unarmored units really, really well. The second thing is Desert Watchers, right? This lets you move around your own territory without anyone knowing where you are. It's really, really underrated. It's not actually super helpful for defending, unfortunately, because in the late game, this is actually an exception is this kind of setup, but in the late game, you only get extra militia health from that tech for unoccupied neighboring regions, not friendly regions. And so this region here will have no bonus. They'll get 1 extra militia from Desert Watchers and nothing else. These ones in the back, right, like this region, has 2 neighboring regions that are unoccupied. They have to be village regions. So we'll get an extra 100 health, right? 50 from each of those neutral villages. So that's why having like an outpost like this with unoccupied territories is helpful. Late game, the tech actually is not useful other than for the stealth it gives you. So you want to keep your borders clear to increase your militia health, and you want that tech so no one knows where your army actually is. You could be over here, you could be over there. You know, that's kind of your advantage.
The turret is a nice
oh my god, is he should kill his ornithopter. This is actually kind of punching down at this point. This is kind of cruel. So Atreides just hanging out. Doesn't need to fight. Getting a 30% chome. In the lead. Has eye. Oh, it doesn't have eye. I'm sorry. The last thing for Fremen. So let's say that you've accomplished what you wanted to, which I don't think this guy has. He should prioritize getting his ceremonial caves, getting his siege regions, bunkering them up. Right, border defenses for that helps you to hold off until you can afford to fight them. An Al-Gaib temple. This is what gives you influence in voting. And so from Solidarity, and then Al-Gaib temple, right? The Sand Diplomat's tech. If he puts Al-Gaib temple here, this allied one, then that's an extra 350 potential influence cap he gets, plus 7 influence per day. And that'll at least make it so he can vote on stuff and pass stuff through. Right now, he's actually getting some from Chom and these truces, but he really needs a lot more to be able to make an impact in the Landsrat. 2, he doesn't have any manpower production, as you mentioned before. So he needs to kind of finish building out his economy, taking these territories that are unoccupied. Chome Branch, fun.
We salute our Emperor.
We welcome you.
Now this is where Desert Watchers would be really useful, right? If Corrino does not see where Fremen's at,
A good place to pelt off
then
workers.
Fremen can deal with
The crew
this.
salutes you, Majesty.
But at the moment, Corrino can just fly in here and
The desert will
he sees all of
surprise
this,
you.
right? And this is where it's a little bit tricky. Is if you don't have that stealth perpetually up in your territory, it's a lot easier for them to prepare, drop an orbital here, for example, and just wipe this and come back in.
At your service. We salute
Good micro
our
from
Emperor.
Corrino to save this guy, though. Good engagement from Corrino. I mean, there's no way he should lose this fight, so it's kind of moot, but take your wins where you can get them.
Reporting for duty.
Glad to serve on the
He doesn't
spearhead
lose
of the
this
fleet.
Kronos, though, jeez. Okay, on to the main event. So... Okay, he's getting wonders now, good. So this is the other tough thing with smugglers, is he wants to take these to get Chome. By doing so, he's going to decrease the hedge he gets from this craft workshop. Again, I think instead of taking these regions, I might just say, pour your authority into stuff that can't be taken off you. I'd pour your authority into UHQs everywhere. If we take a look at passive, he's only got 12 on a world headquarters, right? Making him 12 times 20%, something like 14 or 15 hedge per day. You can get this up month 1, or month 2 rather, as smugglers. And if you do that, you basically replicate what it's like to have an Emperor Monument up for Corrino that early. So Corrino's Emperor Monument right now has made 1,500 hedge. And that's one way of thinking about how early UHQs, even if they're not making a lot, are going to give you a huge hedge boost into the late game. It's a losing fight for Fremen. And again, this fight is winnable if Fremen has all of his worm riding tech, all of his gear upgrades done, has an army that's built out. He just doesn't have any resources, and he doesn't have... Oh, he actually has plenty of manpower. Yeah, I don't know what he's doing then. I have no defense for the guy. Yeah, infiltrators are also not going to be the unit you necessarily want here. I think a few more skirmishers, a good worm, some Fidaken. It's probably the way it needs to go.
Elite of the Imperium at your service. No one compares to Sardaukar. Flamers reporting. Elite of the Imperium at your service.
It's odd.
No one compares to Sardaukar.
Looks like Smugs is going to have to start dealing with peaceful annexation from Atreides soon, because Atreides looks like they're basically built out of all their other regions, right? So that's just me PAing something, putting down a ceasefire, fast building. So let's take a look at what he can see, where he's maybe going to think about expanding to. All these are pillaged, good for Smugs, good job. Being really diligent about it. Probably this region up here is the next one, because it's in Corrino land. Then the back line for Fremen, there's a bunch, but these are fully cross-map for Atreides. It's gonna be pretty hard for him to grab. But you know, if he sees that Smugs is all the way over here, if you have an Ornithopter over here, maybe this is a perfect opportunity to actually come down here and try to take this region. And then he has no airfield over here, right? You'll have this territory to kind of fight in between. No military base either. So this this fight is very, very winnable for Atreides. But you know what? He actually doesn't have a military base on this side either. So maybe too misplaced. And he's taking this. So I wouldn't do this at this point. I don't see the point in taking this in your back. This is a safe region for you. You know, this is when it kind of warrants to be a little aggressive with Atreides and actually trying to take something. Because this you can always take late game. And if they try to betray you, well, they just have a political entente, but if they try to betray you, you know, or if you need a spike at the end, this is an easy, cheap region to take. Okay, looks like Corrino's finally reclaiming what was his.
Ready. We are ready.
What is he doing? Oh, he doesn't have any supply drop. So you don't need to run in this case, right? Running's actually probably not what you want to do. He has a Kronos. He needs to sit a guy on each of these to stop the supply drain. Put a guy right there, and then he can fly them out with his Kronos, right? It's one skirmish trying to get some value in, man. Aw, poor guy. And there's also a risk in hitting a player when they're down. Is, you know, Corrino's not going to be strong enough to fight into an Atreides bunker here. There's no perk to them going into Smuggler land. The only real thing they have to do is fight for territory off of Fremen. And so Fremen's stuck fighting a resurgent Corrino. Let's take a look over here. So we have a great decoy thumper. We have the snipers. Really good use of the snipers on the edge of this terrain here. Uh-oh. You got the Wraith coming in. And there's Duncan. And so, in this case, I think what possibly could have won this for Smugs is a comms jam. Because if you take a look here, right now, this Fremen Raider is actually decapping this region. And so, the only reason that Atreides isn't losing supply is because they have this operation up. So a comms jam here would actually be devastating for Atreides. I think would probably kill the army, or would have killed the army. He's doing a really good job of keeping his veterans in these support drones. This is great. And this is one where little too too much bloodlust from Smugs. So good engagement from Atreides there. Lost Duncan and some other guys, but so he doesn't need to chase. He can just chase with these his range troopers for that range upgrade. Oh man, so that's a full wipe on Smugs. Now, the other thing people always underestimate is the Smuggler army that he needs to rebuild has 1, 2, 3, 4, probably a couple of wreckers too. At least 6 3CP units. So 18 CP is going to be tied up there in just building up those 6 units. Atreides has a support drone to replace, so 3 CP, and then like heavy weapons are 4 each. So if he wanted to build, you know, 6 units, let's say he lost all of his support drones, he's still building a good mix of 4 or 5 and 3 CP. But to really fully rebuild his, let's say Fremen or his Smugs, it'll take longer.
Any orders? Heavy weapon at your service.
We kill without warning. We got something to do.
At your service, sir.
Oh, that is just brutal, man. So yeah, not really getting good engagements here as Smugs. So I think good move from Atreides to take this region. I don't think Smug's going to get that back easily. And now this is done, right? This is when he can PA these regions too and really bunker this up from getting it back. Once he captures this, he just peacefully or he force truces that can hold out for the rest of the game. His only hope is really that Fremen and Corrino figure out a way to deal with Atreides. Looking here at the Lance Rad, Atreides also able to pick up Speaker. Don't know how. And Gov's on the board. So they can, yeah, Corrino alone could probably stop it, but does he want to? Looks like Atreides had a plan to go for insider trading. He certainly has the chome for it. 33% chome is impressive. So we'll see if they, yeah, oppose. Easy decision there. But, you know, even if they vote this down, right, Atreides can just vote it back up. And I suspect, yeah, he's got 40 influence per day. So 40 per day is insane, right? And a lot is coming from charismatic. And that charismatic is the power of a few things. One is getting all sorts of passive influence productions. You get 2 base, you get some villages that have, you know, your influence generators. Sympathizers is your tech. He's got some chome. He got a double blue in his main base. He's got high lance rad. He has a political agreement with someone. I don't know why. Active surveillance, so another tech, right? For having people on counter intel. So that's all of his tiny pieces of the puzzle. It's a lot of small ways of building influence. But then charismatic, that's from sustainable spying, right? And all of his agents here. So let's take a look. So this guy here, 2% per level, 3 levels, comes 4% per level with sustainable spying, since it's only 1. So 12% extra influence production from that one guy. 12% there, 12% there, 12% there. If he had levels here, he'd get even more. Sometimes if you get Eye of the Council, the Eye of the Council agents will also have an extra thing. So he's getting 48% more influence from his base just from those quirks. So he's able to just absolutely piss influence here. 41 per day. Crazy. But again, I mean, if Fremen had an Algaib Temple, they'd probably be making something like 20%. Now this is gonna be too little too late. One, this is a bunker, right? Now there's not a whole lot of overlap here. So Fremen could skirt around this, but the moment that Atreides decides to come here and defend, he can shoot and fight underneath the turret over here. So they got one turret there, one turret there. Yeah, it's nothing crazy. The other thing Fremen's kind of neglected here is the number of donkeys he needs to actually fight this. So Atreides militia have a lot of health. They're single target health, and their units have a lot of health. And most of Fremen's damage is AoE. So against single targets, they kind of struggle sometimes. Donkeys let them focus fire a little better and skirt around these sorts of missile batteries. So we'll see if Corrino is able to come in here and help or not. It's a last-ditch effort from. Oh, he's going to lose this Wraith. Oof, that is rough. Really rough.
Here to deal with the heavy stuff.
And yeah, you know, I think with a more experienced Corrino and Fremen, maybe they could dispossess him. But I think, yeah, he's basically rebuilt. He just has guys stuck in these little drones. So here's Thufir, speed builds everything on. It's secure now. If Smugs attacks, he'll get force truced. And this is also where having political ententes is useful. Because when they betray, you get 4 Lance Red Guard. They're going to be hard to dispossess. It's a smart thumper, but It's not going to help. There's an airfield over here too. And Fremen, if Fremen's here, he should be destroying all these buildings. Not because he's worried about, you know, necessarily about like the water extractor or like this stealth extractor is actually useful for killing, but destroy all this stuff. One, gives experience. More importantly, this water it might be enough to kind of put some pressure onto Atreides, right? He's still making 4 water from this region, so if you destroy that, he's down to 6 water. If they destroy that one, doesn't really have any 4 here. Yeah, I mean, all the water here is probably enough to kind of put him into the negatives for water, which is a pain in the butt. Again, I'm kind of expecting a some forced truces, betrayals to come out here from Atreides. Atreides has 800 influence in the bank. Jesus. There's the ceasefire. So he just needs to get over here and start contesting this capture. And again, this isn't even a whole lot. If he loses one region like this, he'll be fine. But when this expires, he needs to... He'll win this fight for sure, right? And then he can force truce this one. And, yeah, a lot of force truces to be had. And Fremen's army here is pretty weakened, right?
I'll serve in any way I can, my duke.
And this is where an orbital did another ceasefire. What a dick. So you can fly over here and kill Corrino. I was going south. So it looks like you forced truce Fremen, right, under ceasefire. Because you're under ceasefire, Fremen can't attack the building to break the truce. And so because of that, he loses the capture. The way you get around this Fremen is you take a guy and you attack a neighboring region's building, right? If you don't have a ceasefire under you and they do this, you just attack the building, you'll betray them. But for Fremen here, they would have had to do that. Second thing for Fremen, you can build around the sink here, so I would have put one of these regions, one of these buildings over here. If he built this... Well, you really shouldn't be building a wholesale market in general, but if you put this wholesale market here, he could heal and resupply in a little bubble around that. Down here, Smuggler's repulsed. He can fast build this along with the militia and then fly back and defend the north again. Oh, he lost Basin. I'm very surprised by that. I don't think he had to lose that at all. And that's tricky. So Corrino actually is necessarily going to be the one to win Dune Gov, because Atreides has Speaker, and Lost Rights is up now. So that means Lost Rights will not come up for the next council. So there's actually a pretty tough choice. For Atreides, what do you go for? I think you all in against loss of rights. For Corrino, that's tough too. Honestly, I think the instinct is to say you go for Dune Gov. And I still think that's probably the right move. But Atreides needs to retain eligibility at the next council. Wow. And then Fremen dissent on tax negotiations. I love it. Fremen's like, fuck it. Yeah, I mean, so Corrino can take Dune Gov here. There's nothing they can do against that. Atreides needs to make sure Lost of Rights doesn't go through, because Lost of Rights won't come up next time and no one will be eligible. So it'll just be a straight-up vote against Corrino. And Corrino, they should be able to vote against him. But again, there's no Algabe Temple from Fremen. They're all attacking Atreides. These can be forced betraying by annexing and forced trucing. So they might not be able to vote him down for Dune Gov if they if they keep at war with Atreides, which is kind of the issue. Um, there's that. Good choice from Atreides. And he just needs to rebuild. So 600 influence today. He'll be there. Corrino can outspend him, but the others need to have enough influence to be able to do that. And again, Fremen's gonna have a long walk back home, but if he just rebuilds a building here, you can resupply and replenish health around in a little aura around each building. If you see this little area. So he just needs to build one over here to make it a little easier than this longer walk.
Sir?
And again, all these buildings should be destroyed, right? This is a big error from all of them. Looks like Corrino probably got force truced. Smuggler still lost that down there. You know, I did not see when Corrino went down insider trading. This is amazing. Corrino has an opportunity to actually win this. He's 136 votes from insider trading, potentially here. And if the others don't appreciate that he has insider trading, if he focuses on buying Chom right now, like a lot of Chom, 7% of the market, he should just be buying Chom. And it looks like Atreides just sold? Oh my god, that's bold. Some crazy shit going on. Well, listening posts are like, he needs to buy Chom, he needs to bunker this the fuck up, so get a missile battery there. Again, he can double build because he has Irulan, so 2 missile batteries there. Another one, he has one there. He should put one over here. He should get all these militia filled out. He doesn't have an arty drone, but he probably should have one over here. Maybe there's 2. And, you know, Atreides will still win this on hedge when this opens up. He'll just annex that passively, and that's the game at Spice Tax in 22 days. So that's priority number 1, is make sure Atreides doesn't take a special. But even in the absence of that, I think Atreides could probably take, peacefully annex a region, maybe 2, and be pretty close. 12 passive, authority per day, not annexing anything yet. There's the orbital, and look at how much this shreds the Fremen army, right? Fremen units tend to be relatively unarmored, pretty bunched up. Tends to have lower CP than most armies, exception maybe of Hark, which also is an issue into orbitals. But you can see that one region is just shut down from Fremen. Not much they can do. So that's how you basically ward Fremen off. And if you have Fenring, you can get that up really, really early. Looks like Corrino now sees the assassination. He might not know what he's doing, though. I don't think he knows how to defend against it. Nope, no, okay. He's got that up. Let's see if he actually puts someone on to counter intel. He's not. So the first thing you do is, yeah, you queue up your cell search. Number 2, you take a look at, make sure you have everyone on counter intel. He does. Again, that's why you almost always need to go get Emperor Eyes at some point. And then 3 is going to be a question of where are you going to maximize your yields and where can they best get someone in. Now, he's pillaged the siege. That was really good. That means this is probably lower priority, but it is a special. Then you want to minimize your number of searches. So I think here is not a bad one. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 regions, and they're the 6 that are closest to Fremen. Then your second one would be up here, 1, 2, 3, and you get all of these ones. So only 2 cell searches. This is a really difficult assassination to pull off, because 2 cell searches is enough time at any time. He has to make sure these don't get assassinated beforehand. So you know, he might need to be a little split up here in terms of what he sends where. Let's see if he... Yeah, you can't see that. And yeah, looks like he searched the correct region, this one. Okay. Now, the other problem here is Fremen needs to make sure that Atreides does not annex this basin. This basin, if it gets annexed, is GG. So, what's needed? Smug's going to have a comms jam ready. Smug's building a nuke, too. That's good. It's not going to be ready in time for him to use it, but... Atreides ready with a ceasefire, and I assume, yeah, more than enough authority. So, that'll be GG for Atreides once that opens up. But they need to be vigilant about this. Let's see here. Smug's still doing the right thing, pillaging everything too. This is still necessary because Atreides could be queuing up annexations all over the place. In reality, he's just waiting for this, which again, right move. And honestly, yeah, there's a path here where Corrino wins. I think if he had bought a buttload of Chom, he bought as much security. So 230 votes, he might be able to sneak off a little surprise something, but he needs to make sure this does not get annexed. There's the PA, 4 days. Nuke won't be ready. Is there a comms jam? There's not. But, you know, Smugs could get a comms jam in time and drop it so that Corrino can come in and pillage it. But this should have been on everyone's mind that this is probably going to happen. With that said, I think people tunnel vision a bit sometimes. It's easy to get lost in this. Yeah, so there's no lost rights on the next vote. Exactly. Oh, there is! I guess Atreides being speaker, huh? I thought it couldn't show up twice in a row, someone had told us. Well, the tax, yeah, the tax is not going to win. It's just that this is going to open up in time for him to capture it, so. But yeah, interesting. So, Corrino actually could, if they don't see this, Corrino can win this. But why are they both up? That's odd. The other cool interaction is when you have insider trading, you can... Yeah, Atreides is just going to make a push, just sell all of his chum. He's got 330 there, so that's another 300. He takes the regular region, and then he's got passive to make up the difference. So I don't even think he needs to annex this one. It's just he's going to have annexed it anyway. Yeah, I just don't know if they... Okay, Corrino's making a move. Good. He has to really hope that... Yeah, unfortunately, I think Smugs wasn't ready for it.
Everything is under control here.
That's a shame. Smugs actually had enough intel to get a comms jam up too, right? But that's a difficult thing to coordinate.
We have faith in you, Liet.
But that's kind of that late game thing where I think if you're a little bit newer or not familiar with how things tend to play out with the Atreides, it's easy not to think about it. They're really, really hard to push late because, again, ceasefire, forced truce, peaceful annexation, that combo with an army that, again, you can maintain your numbers in the veterancy really well with these drones. You can just do attrition battles into your own territory. It's really hard to push them off. But yeah, well played from the Atreides player.